Movie starts. In the year 1800, a conference was going on regarding the land of Congo Basin of Africa. At the same time, more minerals are found on the land of King Leopard II of Belgium. He grabs it. But within 5 years, all those minerals gradually started getting exhausted and Belgium again slowly started drowning in debt. To come out of this situation, King Leopard sends a captain named Leon Ram to collect the diamond. He quickly prepares his team and sets out. While Kumar was walking, he saw a big stone which looked like a human face. Everywhere around was covered with fog and they heard something. On hearing this, all of them got scared and stood up taking their respective positions. Then the spears started falling on him from the top of the mountain. Many people were killed and those team members also started open firing. When those people moved a little further through the fog, the tribals surrounded them while passing over the mountain and it was impossible for them to escape. Gradually all the soldiers were killed one after the other, but only Leon Romy was left. Then the leader of the Adivasi gang comes in front of him and offers a deal. Instead of diamonds, he wanted a man who was George of the jungle. Next the scene shifts to England where the Prime Minister was talking to a man whose name was John Clifton III. He was invited by King Leopard to conduct an expedition in the Congo Basin of Africa. But he flatly refuses and leaves from there. Then an American spy also follows him, whose name was George. He was convincing John to go to the Congo Basin. Gopal wanted to send him because he was deep in debt and if someone goes from Greystoke, England, on Congo. So the influence of the British people there will also increase and George also had a doubt that we will also know the truth about which villages they send people to as prisoners and send them there. Now the scene shifts to many years ago where John's parents come straight to the jungles of Africa. Unfortunately John's mother is killed while giving birth to him. Then some guerrillas attack and kill John's father. One of the female guerrillas finds John and adopts him. This is called a shot species. When he gets engaged, he leaves the forest with his American wife Jane and goes to England to live a good life. Spends. Now this scene takes place in the present day where John goes home and tells his wife about this expedition. Only John and George were going to go there, but Jane was also adamant that she also had to go. She had seen John with the bullet earlier also. Jane knows the truth about John being Tarzan more than anyone else. The very next day all three of them leave. While going to the forest for colors, they meet a group of lions and John quickly. At night everyone was sitting in front of the bonfire, where Jane was telling George how John had grown up here, how he was born in the forest and grew up according to the rules of the forest. His mare, whose name was Kala, he considered John as his own son and loved him as such and John's brother Akut also considered him as his brother. All the white corpses treated him very well. Jean also tells how these people met for the first time and how awkward that scene was. In the midst of all this, the men of Lion and Rome came to know about it. Tarzan means people and he came to this Cuban village and started searching. When his suspicion turned into reality, he did not delay and attacked the village at midnight itself. They were destroying everything and then there comes the leader and whenever Leon Rum asks him to bow down, he says, "I will not bow down." As soon as the leader refused, Leon Rum shot him with intent. Seeing all this, John started killing those people but he could not do anything in front of so many men. He was also captured by the men of Lion and Rome. These people had kidnapped Jane and some other people of this tribal group and were taking them in their ship. George came in between and started firing and somehow he saved John. When John wakes up the next day and sees all this, he feels very bad because the Romans had come for him and not for these tribesmen. They guessed that Leon's ship was going towards Buma Mountain, so John and some of his companions decided to take a shortcut route so that they could reach that mountain before the ship. And here again the hero of this story comes in the form of John Tarzan. After this, without wasting time, these people leave through the forest. Here, George had to struggle a lot to keep up with the mountain because everyone else had grown up in the forest. He was not making any difference. They stop in front of a ditch ahead. There George asks him how will he follow next. John responds to the train like a monkey and says gravity and jumps straight from there. Now George also had no option left, so he also jumps. On the other hand, we are shown in the team boat that Leon tells Rom that we came here because Kin Gali Part 2 had sent us for the expedition. Then Leon Drama laughingly says that all this was his plan. It was he who called King Leopard and called Tarzan here so that he could capture him and give him to Monga. Then that same night, Leon Ram called Jane for dinner. While going inside his cabin, Jane sees that his best friend has kept the lemons in a cage hanging over the water and the soldier threatens him. So if Jean does anything wrong then Wasim will kill him by drowning him. While eating, Leon Drum tells him that he will soon become Governor General if he saves his King Leopard from bankruptcy. On the other hand, John and his team follow the train and reach above it with the help of branches. There they saw that these people were taking the tribals here as captives. Seeing this, John's blood boils and he goes inside and starts killing all the soldiers one by one. At last when their leader arrives there, John picks him up and throws him out of the train. Another engineer comes out from inside who was scared. After inquiry, he tells that he doesn't know anything and he just came here to build a bridge. Everyone is shocked to hear this. There they saw that these people were taking the tribals here as captives. Seeing this, John's blood boils and he goes inside and starts killing all the soldiers one by one. At last when their leader arrives there, John picks him up and throws him out of the train. Another engineer comes out from inside who was scared. After inquiry, he tells that he doesn't know anything and he just came here to build a bridge. Everyone is shocked to hear this. He tells that Lion was about to capture Congo, and all this was happening under the orders of King Leopard. He wanted the diamond here so that he could avoid bankruptcy. More than 20,000 people were about to come here. There was a plan to build an entire city here, where forts, railways, roads and waterways would also be built at various places. What George Leopard suspected turned out to be true. Then these people started making plans as to how they would collect evidence against the Kingo party. They saw this evidence in the hands of their team members and other soldiers. Both of them left from there. When these people were leaving in the middle of your theft, George asks John, "Can you really talk to animal?" And as they go further, George also sees that John was talking to some hostess on the way who was also talking to George to get him to move and George was shocked. While going further there, he sees many white women in clothes. There was also a cut there. John's brother John explains to George how everything works here. A cut, who was previously John's brother, now considers John an outsider because he had once fled Africa. Whatever happens to his wife, he forbids George to come between them, then a fierce fight starts between them, where in a few seconds, a cut overpowers him. Defeats. John quickly tells George to bow down so that George doesn't get hurt, but he leaves all the mayor's shame behind them and goes away from there. The very next moment George revives John from there and they rest there for a while. There was a huge wound on John's back where George was stitching the wound with the help of ants and he started telling that it too had not been washed with milk. He is no different from these Belgians. He had also done many bad things in his life. Next morning we see Wasim saying something in his native language on the team board. The guard there gets angry at him and throws him into the water. The next moment Jane also jumps into the water and after freeing Wasim, both of them swim to the shore. Knowing that the people of Leon Rome would follow him, he asks Wasim Boko to move aside and himself enters Mangani Drive. While going from there, she meets some Gohils and she kneels down there so that the good treatment does not do anything to her. The next moment the people of Lion and Rome had also arrived there and were about to take Jane away again. But Jane had agreed on the only condition that they should not fire even a single bullet, but as soon as they retreated a little, they started firing again and again. Seeing this, Jean started screaming. From a distance, the sound of gunshots and gunfire reaches John's ears and he jumps away from there. Coming to find them, she saves her gorilla brother, a cut, from a Belgian bullet, and in the midst of all this, Leon escapes again with Rome and his soldier Jane. On the other hand, George was wandering in the forest in search of John. Here comes the flashback again as to why he wants the manga. Actually, tribe leader Bunga's son Mangani kills John's gorilla mother Kala while hunting in Terry Jodi, and to avenge his mother, John also killed that boy. When people brought his son's body in front of him, he took an oath that the person who had killed his child would definitely kill him. And that was the backstory of getting Tarzan and then John chasing Leon wrong. Enters Bunga's territory, and then when he sees John on mobile, he does not listen to anyone. He was bent on killing him. There was a one-on-one fight between these two where he even grabbed the mobile, but all these people surrounded him. In the end, George and his gorilla family had come there to rescue John, so he was not alone. Started telling George that your real enemy is not Tarzan but Leon Ram, who wanted to destroy your entire tribal tribe. He wants to take over here. Hearing all this, Munga also retreated. He didn't want to kill these people anymore. On the other hand, Leon Rome had got the diamond and was taking Jane to the place where his 20,000 army was getting ready. Leon Drum would have left for England with Jane and Diamond, but before that John and George had reached the scene. But seeing so many armies, he felt that he alone could not do anything. Then they made a plan. They gathered all the wild 20 people of the forest and created a stampede there, and one by one all the people were killed there. Some were killed by Shere Khan and some were crushed to death by an elephant. Seeing everything, Leon Rome felt that it was becoming difficult for him to escape, so he was leaving from there with the diamond. Due to delay, he also left Jane there. John had seen Leon Rome from a distance, and in the midst of the stampede he climbed onto the back of a buffalo and began pursuing him. Picking up the gun, he also killed 1 or 2 soldiers. On the other hand, tribal people had also come in a train so that they could save their people. At that port, George finds a machine gun with the help of which he fires indiscriminately at Leon Rome's ship. And his sheep starts drowning. Leon Rome, who had failed in his escape, was also very angry. While scuffling with John, Leon took out the rosary from his hand and choked him. Despite this, John caught Leon between his legs and started applying so much force with his neck that the garland itself broke. In the end, he choked Leon with this floor and called a meeting of crocodile. John ties Leon up and leaves, and then the ship also explodes. Coming to the shore, he kisses his wife and all the tribals there become happy. After all these incidents, George again comes back to London and presents all the evidence to King Leopard about how these tribals were tortured and all the treasure and diamonds were imported from there to Belgium. Then after a year, both John and Jane started living with the tribals and their first child was born there, and John started living the same lifestyle as he was before, and this is where the story ends.